Yeah, very good.
Thanks. There are many psukim in Tanakh that they support this point. That relying on Hashem is more worthwhile than relying on people. And that's what David HaMelech said all the time. That I'm relying on Hashem and not on people. And that's how David HaMelech really won. You know, David HaMelech had troubles, just like Shaul. Shaul was a king, and Shaul had, it says in the Gemara, Ruach Ra, a bad influence by bad spirit, which really means depression, anxiety. It could mean all kinds of psychological problems. And Shaul wanted to kill David HaMelech. David, his son-in-law. He was jealous. And this is not something the kings are immune to. Someone who is in position of power like that, he will probably be challenged with this thing. And David HaMelech was not an exception. David HaMelech was a king. He had the same problems like Shaul. So what was David HaMelech's ultimate response? To write the book of Tehillim. He just prayed to Hashem. So I'm not happy with the camera right in front of it because I can't see it all.
And it's also shaking.
And it's shaking.
Yeah,
Let's,
we touched the table.
how about we'll put it back in the back? Yeah. It does do that also. The paper isn't fine.
You want me to pause it or closer?
Put it here. Make it steady.
Put it here, that's what's there.
Yeah.
It's also crooked.
No, I won't be able to see. Dr. Sakai. It's going up. Okay. Let's go on. Number 7. Yana.
Also, realize that to determine the degree of closeness to Hashem, it's proportionate to our work.
Now, what does that mean to you? We determine the degree of closeness to Hashem.
That their relationship is only as strong as the weakest person in it, or the person
Interesting
who least
point, yeah.
wants it.
In other words, Hashem is always available for us. But it's up to us to turn to Him and to get close to Him. And the more we do something, the more He's going to be open to us. We're completely in charge of this relationship. Part of this is our prayer, fixed prayer, and all the things that our Chachamim gave us. What did Chachamim give us in terms of connecting to God? They gave us Shemona Esrei, all the brachot. They told us what we should do in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. They gave us times to pray to Him. We have to utilize that. Besides for fixed prayer, we have Sefer Tehillim, which instantly connects our neshama to Hashem. So theoretically, we could be connected to Hashem all day long without a stop, if we utilize the tools that Hashem gave us. Yes?
But how do we know, again, not to question the rabbis, I'm sure they're great sages and they learn and everything, but everyone thinks differently, everyone's perceived differently. How do we know that these are the prayers or the tefillos that Hashem wanted us to pray from? We don't know. What makes those prayers more significant or more important than our own personal prayers?
That's a good question. What do you say?
Wasn't this in the speech?
Let's,
I say that,
yeah.
like, people like not to disclose or open too much, but I say that people like myself, we don't, like, understand the background behind it, and when we see it, it gets a little bit overwhelming because it's very lengthy, and there's a lot of language that's a little bit maybe old school, or maybe not as layman's terms.
Good. I understand.
And I think the personal comes more from our hearts and our souls.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to give me an answer to Julie's question was, how do we know that the prayers that we find in the Siddur is what Hashem really wants?
good question.
It's not.
I was speaking to I heard something a long time ago that the people from back then, like the sages, a lot of them had like Ruach Kodesh,
That's a good point.
insight that
Ruach
like they
HaKodesh.
knew like it's not, I don't know, like psychic powers, but like they had a closer, deeper connection. I don't know exactly. You could ask the rabbi what exactly it means, but they like knew they had more of a closer communication, and they were closer to God in a way that they knew we wanted more. And
I like that answer. That's definitely a classical answer.
I mean,
What we find in the Siddur and what we find in Tehillim was written Beruach HaKodesh, with a divine
today the rabbis
inspiration
don't have that.
from God.
I mean, I would say that the.
I don't want to argue with this. We're taking points now.
Okay.
We're taking the answers. Anyone else wants to give an answer? Yes?
I think it can also be that it was tested out. That throughout ages or generations, and it's been proven that it works.
Awesome. I would add this. Can we speak to God in our own language?
Yes.
Everyone will agree yes. So when we use the Siddur, which is in Hebrew, what the rabbis wrote, we're only winning, we have nothing to lose. Because we see that these words are positive. They see that these words are asking for beneficial things for us. We see that these words praise Hashem. If we could do it with our own words, and it would just as well work, because according to number 3, Hashem listens to our prayers. Even if we speak in our own language, in whatever, Russian, Hebrew, English. The fact that we have a Siddur is only an additional benefit because we have nothing to lose. Don't worry, Julia. You're not going to get Hashem angry or on his bad side if you're going to say these words. But I think your problem was that it's difficult for you to say all the words in Siddur.
I need that, but like, just to add on her point again, not trying to argue a debate, so to speak, I would say that the ones who had the prophecy and the ones who wrote the prayers, like Moshe or Yaakov or Abraham, those prayers I would listen and actually say, because they actually had direct prophecy from Hashem. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay, so in that case, there were prophets in the later generations. Yes.
I just thought of something else also. I'm not sure, you know all the prayers much better than anybody else here. Aren't all the prayers like recited in a strength-based kind of way, meaning that they only look at the positive of Hashem? There's no prayer that Hashem says bad things to Hashem, that curses Hashem.
No.
Now, as regular human beings, if something bad happens to me, I may end up talking to Hashem the same way I would talk to somebody if they crashed into my car. I might say some really nasty things, right? But because I'm saying it from the prayer book, I don't have to worry. I'm never saying anything that is disrespectful to Hashem because those words were written in a very respectful way, and my message will get across anyway without me saying it in a negative way.
That's an additional benefit from fixed prayer and written prayer.
I like that.
I
Not
like-
what I just
I
said.
like-
And also it's more inclusive.
So I read this, but I'm reading so many books, I thought it was here, I don't even know, maybe it is in the book, I'm just trying to remember where it is. This was compiled by who? By the sages, by who, like, this one answer, who compiled it? It was a
Anshe Knesset HaGedolah.
So
At the
120,
beginning
right?
of the second temple,
Right.
they wrote the Siddur. Now, before that, they did not have a canonized Siddur. Everyone was on such a high level that they were praying from their own understanding, their own heart, and it was perfect. It was going up to Hashem.
So I read it, maybe it's in here, ladies, you would know, maybe it's
It
in
is,
the book.
it is.
So- Yeah, so it says, okay, so it is in here, I forgot which, like, what if 100, yeah?
Yeah, maybe it was 27 or.
Like 120 of the wisest people of the generation got together. So it's like, in other teachings we learned that when two people come together, it's not just like the smarts of those two people, like a whole other energy is created in the exchange, in the conversation. So when you have insights of like 120 different people and debating and conversation, every word is perfected, not just because each individual was a sage or each individual was so connected to Hashem, so wise, but the sacred word, 26, day 26.
Yeah, it's day 26.
But because, I'm adding on to it like my own,
Mhm.
but because of this like, of that, their togetherness and discussion, the back and forth, it was kinda, perfected.
Good.
So,
Good. Now, we said that we determine the degree to which we are connected to Hashem. Part of it is that there is a tendency for complacency. We don't want to constantly to be beholden to somebody. We want to just live our own life. And there is a real danger of falling into apathy when it comes to relationship with Hashem and not talking to Him at all, ever, unless something bad is happening. So we could be walking through life without recognizing God and without talking to God at all. So we have to recognize that this could be a danger and constantly reconnect, even if nothing bad is happening in our lives. Because connection is up to us. If we choose to make it, it's going to be there. If we don't choose to make it, it's not going to be there. Number 8. Let's go to.
we just talked about that.
Believe that difficult times that we go through are an expression of Hashem's love and care. It is exactly what I need right now to grow.
Right. So now there's another difficulty. What if bad things happen to me? What if I'm not getting what I asked Hashem for? Now, does it mean that God hates me? Does it mean that God is not there? Does it mean that there's no point praying to Him? No, here we have to understand that God created this world for growth. We have to earn a lot of love. And our destiny, our life, is tailor-made by Him to us, for us. And what is happening to us on a daily basis is exactly what we need to go through. And therefore, even if something bad is happening or He is not answering our prayer, it's because it's His way of giving me good. This is what I need. And having what I'm asking for would be detrimental for me. And therefore we have to constantly reevaluate and reaffirm the fact that God knows what's best for me, and right now this is best for me, and I accept what He gave me. Acceptance is the key word over here.
How would you know? Like, how feel like it doesn't happen? Maybe it's just because you're not trying hard, maybe it's because you're not doing something. How would you know? There's no way of knowing, like, if this is what Hashem wants or doesn't want. So if you're telling me if I'm asking for, like, a shidduch or someone, and it's not gonna happen, and yet I hear the Gemara saying, it's just an example. So does that mean maybe it's not good for me? If I keep asking and it just doesn't happen? Again, it's just an example, it could be something else.
Well, at the very least, the fact that you're asking Hashem, maybe that's what He wants.
It's just not the
You
right
might ask a question. Why didn't, I think this answers your question a little bit. Why didn't our forefathers, Abraham and Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka, Yaakov and Rachel have children?
Why didn't what?
Why didn't they have children for a long time? Abraham and Sarah had children when they were in their 90s, late 90s. Same thing with Yitzchak and Rivka. For 20 years they didn't have children. So Gemara says, because Hashem wants the tefillah of tzaddikim.
But I don't think that's
So that's maybe you are and you don't know it.
like Hannah. I know Hannah. They said that she wanted her to cry or something.
Yeah.
Hannah the prophet.
Kind of the same, yeah. She also had a very tough time, and she was praying to Hashem.
But then there was that.
Now, it says in this book, they asked a question in the beginning, one of the first chapters. If Hashem, if I would deserve, why do I need to pray to Hashem? Hashem knows anyway. Prayer is not just to inform Hashem of what I want. Hashem knows what I want. And therefore, if I would deserve it, He would give it to me. And if I don't deserve it, He's not going to give it to me. So why do we say that prayer is that we should pray in order to get something?
It's not for
What's the
him,
answer?
it's for us.
Huh?
It's not for him, it's for us.
It's definitely for us, but I'm not getting, let's say I am not, at the end of the day, again, what's
It's
the
like
question?
Like if your situation is what it's supposed to be,
Right.
then why do you have to pray? You're in the situation that you need to be in.
Right, so I
Right,
mean,
that's the
Yes,
question.
I think
if
that's the
everything,
question,
yeah,
yes.
so whatever you're praying for right now is in anticipation for something that's coming in the future. And whatever the result is going to be whatever the result is. So what you're praying for now, you have the understanding that no matter what the answer is, it's for the good, whatever it is. Even if you cannot understand why. If you perceive in your limited human mind that the answer that you want is not actually what's going to happen, then, so like your prayer to Hashem, regardless of whatever, you have to understand that you're not going to change the answer, because you can't, because whatever is ordained is ordained. Hashem has decided already what's decided, right?
Not
But we find that
necessarily.
sometimes
No,
we pray-
no. When you change yourself, you change your destiny. But prayer doesn't necessarily only have to mean a request, because it's like you're saying you're praying to Hashem, like you're asking, like praying to Hashem is not only asking. Sometimes it's just thinking. Like she told me just now, because I said my car battery died. I was so like annoyed my husband to drive. It was a whole balagan, and she's like, because you probably could have possibly avoided a car accident. I didn't think of that, and I was just sitting and praying here. I wasn't asking Hashem for nothing. I was just thanking Hashem. Like there was no request.
But
Yeah.
but still, we are talking right now a situation where you're praying to get something, you're determined to get it,
Okay.
and you're praying, which is not a bad thing. We're supposed to be doing that.
Okay.
Hashem wants us to do this, and now we're asking a question on that: is why do I need to pray? And that fits in what Julie was saying, and what Abraham and Sarah were going through. Abraham and Sarah knew that they need children, and they prayed it, and there was no way out. They would not accept the fact that they're not going to have a child. It was not an option. 1 second, yeah, down. Now, the answer is given in this book as follows: that prayer has the power to change us. We become essentially different people. So when Hashem said no to us before we prayed, He said no to that person. But now that we prayed and we became a different person, the new person that emerged, he has a different approach. And now that person could get what they
Sometimes you have to change.
Prayer changes us for the better.
So
So it's like they say, like, I know they say an example, like, you have to act already as if you're married. If you want to be married, then you have to already act as if you are married. Like, you've heard
Yes,
this.
yes, yes. Good. Okay, so far, yes.
I have along the same lines. If you are like you're supposed, if you want something, need something, right? Like there's prayer and there's also action. And like I believe in doing both, right? You have to do both. You can't. But if it's not coming, how do you know if you need to do a little more or if you need to pray hard? Like after you're doing both, you're struggling for something, and you are praying for it, and you're doing different actions. Like, how do
Okay, that's a good
do I
question.
do more actions? Do I see more advisors? Do I try more, or do I like?
That's not part of the sheet. I have
Is
to
it
think
more
about it.
spiritual or physical?
I've asked that.
And-
So I guess the question is,
A little bit.
is prayer enough, or should we also do an action? And how do we know the balance
The
between the
Yeah,
two?
what is the limit?
Oh, yeah.
Or the limit does not exist?
What do you say?
like the physical and the spiritual action.
Spiritual limit.
Like what if you're like yearning towards or working towards is something major? Then what is the limit? Like if you haven't done this before you take this on, like how many mitzvahs should you, I mean, I know there's like no actual answer, you can't really give an answer, but I mean, what if what you're anticipating is very scary and you're trying to make sure that whatever it is for the good, so what do you take on to prevent a very bad thing from happening or something?
So I'm gonna look into general basic guidelines.
Like
on
sometimes
that.
they say like you're on your deathbed, right? And then the rabbi comes to you, it's like, do you keep kosher, do you keep Shabbat? No, okay, try to keep kosher, try to keep Shabbat. And then like sometimes you get a miraculous refuah and sometimes you die. So is it then? So I mean like, I know I'm not,
I'm not sure if I-
I only live zero and
I'm not sure if I'm understanding what you really mean.
I'm asking like,
What's
what,
the more essential? Most
like what, yeah, or like what can you essentially take on that will be like your hishtadlus? That is like, okay, this person is, not that like deserving for him to answer your prayer? Like, what if he's already a date? Can you change the answer? That's my question. Can you change the answer?
Right. Can you change Hashem's answer?
Yes.
The path, maybe it's like
What's
person.
the
Is that what you're saying?
So
Path
that
or
means,
answer, whatever.
physical
Yeah, prayer.
act.
Yeah, of course.
Physical
Some
act
people,
towards someone. You
because
get-
people are dying
You
and all of a
pray,
sudden their life is
And you also take
suspended
some
because of
steps,
prayer.
physical steps to
Yeah.
pray.
It happens.
Yeah, wow.
You give tzedakah, you.
But can't you
You know,
also
there's
make
some
a
people
compromise or
This
promise
is what it's meant to be. You can't change
I
it.
do
Like,
that
you
all the
take-
time.
allow me to have a
Some,
baby
no,
and
right?
I'll
I'm saying
wear
Hashem
shades.
sometimes
Yes.
says,
I negotiate
you know,
all the
it's not
time.
how I'm gonna pray all you
I
want,
got
but
every-
this
all the
is
same
how it's
thing.
supposed to be. Like,
I have a whole
Yes.
story.
But you don't-
So we have over here Ms.
Yeah.
Malashef, she says she actually makes deals with
All
Hashem,
the time.
negotiates with Hashem all the time.
Okay.
She tells him what she's gonna do and then he showers her
Yeah.
with stuff.
Yeah. I have to keep my promise. That's like the.
Okay, then later you'll tell us your secret. Okay, where are we up to? Number
Nine.
nine. Okay, who is next? Dr. Zucker, can you
I'm
please?
me. Okay. Admit that mere relationship with Hashem is most, that doesn't make sense, Rabbi. Admit that mere relationship with Hashem is most beneficial to you, or that your relationship with Hashem is most beneficial to you?
Okay, what I mean to say, my English is not.
Just
great.
having the
However,
relationship itself.
forgive me for.
So admit that your relationship.
Mirror, even if your prayers are not
I
answered,
just-
even if Hashem doesn't give you what you want, just the fact that you have a relationship is still worthwhile.
Admit that
Even
the
more
mere
important
relationship.
than, no?
Mirror?
The-
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
mere, like there needs to be
That's
the.
that's an English word.
Yeah. So just
Oh,
that's
mere
the
relationship. Is enough.
most.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
thank you very much, you got it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's why, no,
So
English
good.
is the worst.
PhD.
One article has changed the entire sentence. This is why it took me 5 years to learn how to speak English.
It's the intonation.
Okay.
mirror.
Okay.
Yeah,
So who, now that we understood,
That's it.
God.
who?
That's it.
Okay, so who wants to say what this means?
Oh.
How do you understand?
Relationship with Hashem. Just having a relationship with Hashem is beneficial to you. Like meaning,
Which way, why?
Even if you didn't get
because
what you want.
versus someone that's like, oh, God doesn't exist. I have no relationship.
Because you never feel alone. Because Hashem is always with you. Like, He's the only
If
one
someone
that's
to
with
talk
you
to,
from
someone
your
to-
childhood to, because you remember yourself as a teenager. Like, your friends now, your
Like, stuck
husband now
on-
doesn't know you as a teenager, but you still remember your mind and you can, like, and then, like, He's the only one that knows all the way through from.
So number one, you never feel alone. You always have someone next to you, even if he may not answer all your prayers and not give you everything you need.
No.
But you still have him. Okay. Now, do you know that people report that if they just say Tehillim every single day, just as a connection to Hashem, it already uplifts them. It already gives them spiritual nourishment, happiness, and a better feeling.
Yeah, less anxiety, less mental illness. Religious people have less mental illness.
They say that.
No, you don't have to necessarily say the whole book.
Yeah.
Even as much as you can. In other words, we just connected to Hashem. We just turned to Him, and it already has beneficial effect on us. That's number one. Question.
Be directed. So what if you're not quite maybe to the point of doing your
Stop. We're gonna wait. Okay, let's have respect for the one who's talking, please. Yeah.
Well, I just had a question for Tehillim. So if you're not quite to the point yet that you do Shacharit or Mincha, but you do feel a connection to Tehillim, and so there's a prayer in the book, in the beginning of the Tehillim book, the prayer you say before Tehillim, and then you read the certain chapters of Tehillim that you've divided up amongst Tehillim groups. I find myself connecting more to Tehillim than I haven't quite gone to davening out of my sitter yet.
Good.
So, what can I say? Because I kind of feel like it's a little like cheap, not cheap, but like I can do the Tehillim, but I can't do the sitter. What can I do in the sitter like Birkat HaShachar,
Yes.
or like,
Morning blessings is very good.
so like start with that, 'cause maybe this
Also,
could be like
after
my.
there is some Tehillim in the Siddur also.
Yes.
There is after Baruch Shamar Tol Yishtalah there's the Tehillim. It has the very same effect. The same Tehillim.
Wait, which ones?
After Baruch Shamar, there's Ashrei. It's Tehillim.
Uh-huh.
And then there's 5 Hallelujahs, also Tehillim. It's praising Torah, it's praising Hashem. So yes, Tehillim has this power. It's unbelievable. But it so happens to be. But that's why exactly it's part of the Siddur.
Also,
Shacharit prayer.
No, in the Tehillim.
Yes. Well, one second. Oh, but Julia was next.
Yeah.
Yes, Julia.
Wait, so why do
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
I
yeah.
heard
You could, yeah,
people
choose
actually
one.
say
Well,
that.
Monday, Tuesday.
Can you say it again?
Well, okay, girls, you have to speak up. No, you can't
I
speak.
can speak up, okay, I can speak
Well,
up.
we're gonna wait. Don't worry.
I wanna
Yeah.
ask a question, so can you guys stop talking? Thank you.
Okay. Julia, go.
So basically, why do people say Tehillim for 40 days? I know there's like people who.
Oh, the Nishma Kol Hai?
Oh, saying something for 40 days
Yeah, I heard people do
has a huge effect. Because 40 days is a minimum amount of time to create a new reality. Okay? Next. Lila, please.
Oh yeah, I was wondering, is it like for a woman, is it better for somebody to do it instead of chocolate? Or
I can't say that. I can't say it's better to say Tehillim than
what do you
Shacharit.
think? What do you think?
They serve different purpose. For a woman, to say, what's better to say Tehillim or Shacharit? For a woman, I would have to think about it. I'll write it down.
But I remember I asked this on
Oh, yeah?
first date for you.
I said
But, okay, so,
Yes.
What did I say?
You said that, as far as I remember, that I wasn't like, this was not the answer, it was something.
It must have been a little bit different question.
Okay,
because
so I
This
said,
question I really don't know the
so
answer.
I think you said, so davening is like it's a halakha, but the Tehillim is a segula. So we do the halachot first before we do segulot, but the thing is, especially for somebody like me, like, because their children are required to daven, but not something that you do, and I do definitely connect with it, particularly. I get to enjoy, I get like pleasure out of it, and I'm also part of a group, so I have a sense of commitment and community, and I'm doing it for some. There's like so much. This.
Okay, good. I would, yes, I'd like to keep it more, keep it going, so give me a short answer. It was probably, so halacha takes precedence, that's the answer,
I mean,
okay?
that's what you said, but if I just said you're going to more info, you know?
Halacha definitely takes precedence.
After
Good.
reciting.
Okay, number,
After you read like a section.
yeah, Ms. Novak, yes.
Does Tehillim have that, for the married women, the three parts of the prayer that you said it was in Rambam? It has to have.
No.
like, the-
No, it doesn't have, no, it doesn't have.
So then it,
One,
okay,
two.
so it doesn't.
Oh, okay, that's
But you said Birkat Hamazon.
Birkat Hamazon has it.
So you could just then.
Yeah.
No, I said you personal.
Okay, we're ready to move on, correct? Number 10, Yelena.
Use every life situation to turn to Hashem in prayer.
Now,
Good, bad, every little thing.
Yeah.
Talk regularly.
now, this is the final step. And the final step we said is going to be based on the fact, Ein od milvado. There is nothing but Hashem. What is it really entailed by that word? There's nothing but Hashem. It means that really there's no powers besides for Hashem, and everything that's happening to us is directed by Hashem, directly ordained by Hashem, and therefore each situation has to elicit our response to Hashem. Whether it's good or it's bad. Even if it's nice outside and nothing bad is happening, we have to thank Hashem. We have to thank Hashem that nothing bad has to happen. We could always find a way to turn to Hashem. Now, I have to share with you 3 mitzvot that any person could do at any time. One is recognizing that God exists. Number 2, saying that Hashem is one. Number 3, that we love Him and we fear Him. Really, these are 4 actually. Love is 1 and fear is 4. So, one is Hashem, you exist. We could turn to Hashem and say the following, and we instantly do for mitzvot, and we're able to do it any time we want. We could say, Hashem, you exist. Hashem, you are one. I love you and I fear you. We could do this. It's brought down in halacha that a person who wants to do a mitzvah, wants to connect to Hashem literally, he could do this any time of the day or night, and it's a very powerful way. If you could take one, let me just do and pass.
Is that a different sheet?
Yes.
Take one, pass.
Did you say Hashem was one?
One second. You have a question on what you said before?
I understood that there were those 6 comments.
6 times, excellent. There are 2 more after that. But these are the first 4 basic ones. Still, yes?
How do you like pray and do this and that without losing your mind? Like literally. Okay, wait, no, hold on. Losing your like I lit candles the other day. My child wants to light candles. And Shabbat already started. Did I say the bracha? Completely forgot. And like 30 minutes later, I'm like, I lit the candles. I didn't even say anything.
Your
I'm
question
losing
was,
my
how does a
brain.
person, as a mother who has children,
Yeah, pause.
how does she pray?
How does she do anything without I can't remember how to I forgot I have a Zoom work meeting today. This is terrible. I have onset Alzheimer's. I used to say, the bracha for candle lighting every week. Now it's I light with her because she's excited with lighting, and I don't know what it is. I guess I forget to physically say anything.
I totally can empathize with that because I used to learn the whole day, and now with all the things that I'm running, I am getting to learn, but my mind, because of the busyness, my mind is not all there. So I do it with half of my mind, but I still do it. So I believe that Hashem gives schar, reward, for the effort, and as long as we're consistent and we do it, not every time, we could do, we could do it like we used to do, as if we were free and we didn't have any responsibilities or any pressures. To Hashem, it's still very precious what we do.
The effort matters. He knows your intent when you lit your candles.
I lit candles last Shabbat, and I forgot to say the bracha. And then 20, 30 minutes later, I'm I lit candles. I didn't say anything.
No, Hashem, you had the intent of doing it. It was in your mind. It was going to happen. It's just
I'm so focused on her lighting it.
Okay, let's do it.
Fire
The
and a
following.
child.
Probably the back of the other sheet is just a list.
Just a shorthand of truths that the 10 points are based on. They're the same, they correspond to each other.
Can you create a
It's a shirt of
I
version.
worked with another rabbi. And we put it
How does
together.
this keep happening?
He originated it, he said, one million of them, but I worked it out with him this final list. He is not from Rio.
And you're gonna write more.
I hope so.
Last one.
Thank
The sheet,
you.
which is this
Yes.
sheet, but half the answers are missing, so I wrote them in.
The biggest question I always have about that I've never gotten a straight answer on was when you wash for bread and you have your meal, and now your table's clean, you're having desserts. Do you make the bracha on desserts or not?
Okay, that's question number
But I understand.
16. Question number 16. We're gonna get to it. What?
Do I make a bracha on this now? It's like a
You
cinnamon.
know, wait until question 16.
Have a cup of tea. Have a cup of tea.
Okay, let's go. Question number 1.
Let's go quick because she's hungry.
Julia.
She said the one with stickers on it are dairy. There's no stickers on it.
Okay, 1 second. We're ready. Question number 1. Julia, go.
No, I asked, I ate dairy, and she said the ones with stickers on top are dairy.
I want to read the question, guys. Thank you. What are the 5 brachot that we say before we eat different foods?
Yes, we have 5 brachot before food. Let's try to give me one.
Just 5, shahakol.
Shahakol. Or maybe 6. Some reason when I was counting, I forgot shahakol. Yeah, it might be 6. So shahakol is number 1. Mezonot. Okay, so we have shahakol, we have mezonot. We go mezonot. We're going to get. Yana, what do you say?
Oh, I said hadama.
No, hadama.
What isn't it? Isn't it?
Hadama is fine. Let's put hadama down. Then we have after Isabella. Give me another one. Mizon, we just said.
Oh,
It's hamotzi.
Okay, hagefet. Hagefet. Good. Hamotzi. What else do we have? Ha'et.
So isn't that 6?
Mezonot.
How many do we have?
6.
6. Yes. Now I know where it is. So you could change that to 6. It's 6 drachot.
It's really one. Shahakol covers
It's
everything.
only 6.
That's why you tell you
Okay. Now, quickly, let's see our list. Who was writing down all 6? Raise your hand. Okay, I want to ask Dr. Zakai to tell us which, give me an example for each one of those brothers. What do you
I
mean?
shouldn't have raised my hand.
But you know.
Okay,
And everyone will write it down.
is up here is cake.
Okay, mezonot is cake. Just an example, quickly.
Okay.
Next,
Ha'etz is an apple.
basically fruit.
And some fruits, not all.
Yeah.
Aren't there some that are dama?
Watermelon.
Pineapple, and we're gonna see that.
Is it
But
banana hadama?
banana is
Watermelon is hadama. But pineapple is ha'etz, no?
No, rosemont bush.
Pineapple is hadam. We're gonna get to it's hadam. But we're not gonna go into all the brachot. I would just put down fruit. Let's go on to the next one.
Hadama is potatoes,
Hadam is, let's say, vegetable.
vegetables.
We're gonna define later more closely.
So I already did 4. Shahakol, Adama, Ha'etz, and Mazonos.
You didn't do shako.
Oh, shahakol is like almost everything.
Shahakol is anything that's not a plant, but animal derived, like meat, cheese, milk,
Drink.
and,
I have a
and
question.
liquids, yes.
If I make a shahakol of my soda,
Yes?
right, and then I eat something else, I eat something else that's a candy. If I make another shahakol, it's always my question.
That's question number 27.
Wait, wait.
We'll get that.
Seaweed considered to be shako, like how it's the seaweed.
Okay. We're not gonna go now into what bracha on which foods because we're not gonna finish it. We're gonna figure this out. What do we have? Geffen
Hagafen, grapes.
is
Yeah,
wine,
grape-
not grapes.
Grape juice. Hagafen, grape juice.
I would
Wine.
put down wine. Primarily it's wine. Secondarily it's grape juice, but it's wine specifically. So
grapes.
so that bracha was made
No,
for
grapes.
wine, but Rabbi
Grapes are
Yakubov
onions.
is made for wine.
No, but grape juice.
What?
Yeah, grapes are, regular
No, but
grapes, they
grape
both
juice is
create-
hagaf.
Yes, thank you. And then we have final.
Oh my goodness.
Hamotzi is bread. Thank you. Let's move on.
Okay.
Number 2, Mrs. Malasha.
We did number 2.
No, we didn't.
What is the general?
What does that mean?
What is the general name for these brachot?
Brachas Rishon.
Like
Bracha?
Brachas Rishona.
Bracha Rishona, thank you very much.
I just did a whole curriculum in my fourth
Explain.
grade. That's the only reason I know.
Bracha Rishona. Bracha before food.
What?
Bracha Rishona.
Rishona.
Rishona means first, before. Bracha before foods. Thank you.
I have a funny story about Rabbi Kanievsky about this that I just heard.
Please.
After he'd be finished eating, he would say to his kids, you heard this? What did I eat? And they would say, why are you asking? He'd say, well, when I saw the food in front of me, I knew what bracha to make on it. Now the food's not there anymore, and I don't know what bracha achrona to make on it.
Like he wasn't paying attention or was eating because it didn't matter to him.
I already ate it.
Yeah.
Where'd you read that?
Okay, it's not
Yeah,
there.
read-
I was reading the FJJ.
Okay.
They did it very
Yeah, there was a bunch of stars on the bottom.
I'm saving it, they did it really.
Okay, bracha rishona in Hebrew, you could write it in English with English letters. Bracha rishona. It's important. We're going to be using these terms. Is food before, is bracha before foods. Number 3, Elena, please.
What are the 3 brachot that we say after we eat food? Birkat Hamazon.
Birkat Hamazon is 1.
Good.
Thank you.
Bar-
Do we have another one?
Bar nefashos.
Borei Nefashot is 2. And Al Michia is 3. Thank you. Al Michia is 3.
Rabbi, do you have another copy of the first paper you gave us?
Mechia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that everyone wrote it
I
down,
don't know the other 2.
Birkat Hamazon
Bar
is good.
nefashos.
Borei Nefashot is 2. Borei Nefashot. Nefashot, yes. Good. Al Michia, correct. Okay, now, what food do we say Birkat Hamazon on? After eating bread. Thanks. So you could write it down like dash bread. Or bread. After bread we say Birkat Hamazon. Which bracha do we make on?
No, I never heard that.
If you have like
That's
I
only
never
Sephardim.
heard that.
all this
We're gonna talk about that later. Right now the short answer is bread.
Okay.
Wraps?
Wait, the short answer is bread. What bracha harona go? Borei Nefashot goes. It goes after.
Everything else. After everything else?
Usually it's something that we make
Foods, no bread.
shahako, which is
A meal with no bread.
with meat.
And bar bread,
As long as it's not bread, okay.
A meal with no
or
bread.
fruit.
No bread, correct.
So because Hamazon is bread.
Bar nefashos is
Borei
not.
Nefashot is fruit,
No,
vegetable,
not on al ha'etz.
unless it's from 7 types that grow in Israel: dates, figs, pomegranate, and olives. With those we make al ha'etz, al ha'etz. They're part of al michya. We're going to discuss
All
that.
other fruits are bar nefashos.
We're going to discuss that. Yes, Doctor?
I don't think this is here, so I'm gonna ask. In Al Hanifa, you know how there's Al Ha'etz, Al Hanifa, and Al Geffen?
Correct.
If I ate a cake and grapes, do I say both at the same time, or am I making Al Hanifa twice?
No, both at the same time. You incorporate.
Which one first? I never knew.
You incorporate. Okay? But we're going to discuss this, not today. This is what we're going to discuss next time. And al hamichiyah we say on cakes or 7 types of fruit. Fruit from 7 types that grow in Israel.
Or
Wine. Wine and oranges, yes. So write it down. Cake, al hamichiyah.
What's Alamachia is wine and grapes?
Al hamichiyah is cakes, number 1.
Hamazon bread.
Now, if you ate also 7 types of fruit, you make ala 8, well, it's an insertion. You have to make point that you ate fruit. Ala 8 on the fruit and the fruit of the fruit. And or if there was wine or grape juice, then it's ala gefen, well, piha gefen. It's all in the siddur, but it's just to be aware that this bracha, it's a little longer bracha. On those foods that are more special, they're a little more than just cheese and meat and fruit and vegetable. They're special, so we make a longer bracha. Al michiyah, al ha'etz, al pi'ayetz.
Do you say multiple if you eat all of these things? Or
You could put all of them in one bracha. You say one bracha, but you mention all of them.
But I'm saying the second one versus the third. I understand the Hamazon, but I'm saying the second one versus the third.
Yeah, if let's say you ate cake and apple,
Yeah.
then first you eat al michiyah, al michiyah, and then borei nefashot. Correct.
More opportunities.
Any more questions so far? Yeah? Al michiyah comes first. Yes. We're up to number 5. We go to Elena S. in red.
When do we say 4?
What?
Elena, Isabella, do number 5.
5?
Hmm?
I was keeping 4?
What? 4. We didn't do 4.
Oh, okay. 4. I'm sorry.
Harona.
Yes, what is the general name for these brachot, for brachot after foods, Birkat Hamazon, Al Michiyah, and Borei Nefashot, bracha acharona, which means bracha after food. bracha, which is bracha, acharona. Acharon means
Acharona
after.
means last. You know how you always say acharona, acharona, acharona? You ever hear that?
Yeah.
The last person is the sweetest. So this is bracha acharona.
That was the last one.
The last.
That was sweetest.
Me too.
Should I refine?
Number 5, please. Go.
Why do we have to make a bracha even if we are only eating one crumb of bread?
Are you serious?
Now, there's a general
Are
question.
you serious?
Do I have to make a bracha if I'm eating one crumb of bread, one drop of
Under an
water,
olive, you
a
said.
small little speck of food?
I'll do the size of an olive, you said.
The answer is yes. And the question is why?
The person.
Because even a crumb can save your life.
I wouldn't say that.
Just an opportunity
No,
to
no.
thank Hashem.
You just want to say thank you.
Anything,
The
everything
bracha
comes from
rishona
God.
is contingent on the pleasure. If you are deriving any nutrition, even minutest, you have to bless Hashem for that. So bracha rishona goes on the pleasure that we derive from food, not says satiation, not really survival. If we have pleasure at that moment from food, we have to make bracha rishona. Bracha before. So therefore, even one crumb, even one drop of water actually helps. It gives us some pleasure.
What if you're drinking it because you're being forced and you don't want?
That's not. That's we're gonna come up. Question gonna come up. Question number 6.
Like at the
Let's go
doctor's
to.
office.
Do you make bracha for medicine?
We're gonna. It's gonna all here. Yeah, and question number 6.
If we have to make a bracha, even if we are only eating one crumb of bread, why do we make bracha acharona only if we ate a kazayit?
Now, first of all, kazai, that's number 7, is size of an olive.
Oh.
It's
Oh, that's
about 29 to 30 grams.
That's how much.
So what's the answer?
Bracha acharona is said only if a person ate kazayit. So question is like this.
Running late.
Bracha rishona, I say even if I ate a crumb. But bracha acharona, I'm not allowed to say if I ate a crumb, or 2 crumbs, or 3 crumbs, until I ate 30 grams. Why? Anyone knows the answer? The answer is that bracha acharona is different. Think about it. After I ate, what am I thanking Hashem for? Before I ate, I thank Him for pleasure that He gave me from food. But after I ate, I thank Him for satisfaction or satiation, meaning now I am full. And satiation comes from taking in a bigger amount, a certain minimum amount. We're not satiated unless we ate our full. The satiation doesn't come from just eating, but eating enough of something.
So we're
I
blessing
have said one kazayit
because we're blessing because we're satiated?
because we're full now. So the answer could be the bracha acharona, the bracha after food, comes thanks Hashem for satiation, and that comes only with kazayit. Unless we need kazayit. So we'll learn a concept and we'll learn a practical halakha. And we don't say bracha acharona unless we ate certain amount. Okay. How much is a kazayit? 30 grams. 30 grams. Or 1 ounce. If you want to have American
How
measurements,
much is
1
it? 1
ounce.
ounce?
1 ounce is also
1
1.
ounce or what's the
Or
ounce?
30 grams.
Kazayit.
Or what?
30 grams.
30 grams?
Or kazayit.
That's
One
nice.
shot.
Size of an olive.
Size of olive?
Yeah, I'm going with Sephardi. They measure it in grams. Ashkenazi poskim measure it in volume. So they say you just picture an olive,
Yeah. Or shot
and
glass.
that's exactly what that's kazayit is. So either way,
So if you eat a chocolate chip, you don't have to say it's tiny.
it's small. It's too
It's
small.
smaller.
It's too small. Yes.
But even if it's a crown, you have to say something.
Bracha rishona goes even on the crumb.
Wait.
Bracha acharona only if you have kazayit.
Oh, the blessing after you don't say if it's tiny.
Correct.
Oh.
Only, but before you have to make a bracha. Either way, even if it's even a little bit. I just want to make this sure. Everyone got that?
Yes.
Bracha rishona is said even on minutest amount of food, because it depends on pleasure, and even a little bit gives us pleasure. But bracha acharona again is made on satiation which is dependent on kazari. Number 8, let's go to Yanavus.
If I'm taking a pill with water, do I have to make a bracha?
Yes,
No.
yes.
Yeah.
No.
What's the crux of this problem? What am I really asking?
I'm not you're taking it because you have to, not because you're getting
Right, the problem is like this, that I'm not really thirsty. I have to drink this in order for the pill to go down. So, do I have to make a bracha?
No.
Yes, because we're receiving nutrition.
What do you say?
Because we're receiving nutrition.
What is interesting, it does not, the only benefit that water gives you is quenches your thirst. It's not giving you nutrition because it doesn't have vitamins or minerals in it. So it's like this, it depends. If at the time when I'm taking this medicine I'm also thirsty, then I do make a bracha shehab kol ha'wood. But if I am not thirsty at all, and the only reason why I'm taking it is because of the medicine, then I don't make a bracha. So it depends. So the answer is depends. If I'm thirsty, I make a bracha. If I'm not thirsty, I don't make a bracha.
Do you make bracha or not?
Oh, yeah.
That's a good question. Bracha from the-
Some pills you have to take like full cups.
So to bracha chorona, if you were thirsty and you made shehab kol on it, and you drank the whole cup, then you make bracha chorona also.
So
Because it was really a act of eating food, deriving pleasure from food, from water. However, if you never made bracha rishona because you only took this water to swallow the pill, you don't make bracha chorona either.
Cool.
Since Tatiana has this great question, let's ask her to read number 9.
that's the same distinction with why if I'm taking a pill with juice, why?
So we're taking the same scenario. You're taking a pill. You're not thirsty, but you're drinking it down with juice at this time.
I would say yes because juice. Why are you making a juice?
So the answer is then you always make a bracha,
Oh.
shakol.
So no, you always have to for juice.
The juice you always make. The distinction does not apply for the juice. If you're taking it down with juice, you always have to make a bracha. Why?
Because it has flavor? So it's not a water.
Because juice derives nutrition and flavor in any situation. Anytime you drink, no matter what the reason why you drink the juice, you always deriving the nutrition and flavor. Does that make sense? Okay. Ms. Walsh has a quick
Wait,
question?
but you're saying you're drinking water.
Yes.
For, oh, yeah.
Or what about water? Like the sensation of thirst happens after like
Depends which
severe
one.
dehydration usually. Usually people
Elderberry.
need the water even before the sensation of thirst happens. We're still deriving value even if we don't feel thirsty. By the time you feel thirsty, it's kind of
Just
like we
drink
say,
water, make a
it's
bracha.
kind of like late. That means you're already dehydrated. People should be hydrating before the.
Let's say you're drinking right now, and you're drinking. Are you quenching some thirst? Are you deriving other pleasure? Do you feel that this is helping you?
I just feel like
Well,
when I
this is-
take my vitamins, for example,
Thirsty.
water, I just finish my cup, looking for water. When I start drinking water, once I start drinking it afterwards, I'm like, I feel like,
So that's your call. Again, the bottom line, the general rule is if you're deriving pleasure from that water, you make a bracha. If you have even a little bit of thirst, even if you enjoy it even a little bit, it's already an enjoyment that warrants a bracha. Let's go on number 10, Sapirvos.
Do we have to make a brush on first?
The answer is yes. It's a medicine, but
But it's terrible.
And
There's no pleasure in cough syrup.
what?
also bracha for
Bracha chorona, no.
why
Is it because
On the first one. Now, what I just want to tell you what the cough syrup is. Cough syrup is really medicine that's mixed with sugar and flavor. So you don't make a bracha on the medicine. You're making a bracha on that flavor and sugar that it's packed in.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Question number 11, Elizabeth.
It's fun.
I love it.
Do we have to make a bracha on chewable vitamins?
Yeah.
Yes, because there's
Same idea. It's basically medicine that's packed together with sugar and flavor.
Because of sugar.
So you have to make bracha. It's counterintuitive. It's medicine. It's vitamins.
Huh?
And
But
what
we
about
have to make a bracha. Okay.
gum
Let's
that you're
go.
not, gum that you're not swallowing? I know, it's question number 15.
Excellent question. But and the answer is you are swallowing the sugars
Right?
and the flavors. Okay?
To make a bracha.
Okay, good.
So you have to make a bracha
I
on
just
that.
wondered about that.
Which question is that?
Louis, 12. 12 is interesting.
Okay, 12 is Alvina.
If a sick person has to eat non-kosher food, does he make a bracha?
No.
No.
No?
Yes. Say vidui.
No. It's
Okay, so we have
Abstinence.
difference in opinion over here. If you feel that a sick person has to eat non-kosher food, has to make a bracha, raise your hand.
No.
Okay?
Has to make a bracha out.
Doesn't have to make a bracha.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have to make.
So we have equal split. So the halacha is as follows. Now, first of all, let's define the case. Why is this person eating non-kosher food?
Yes, no other option.
It so happens to be that for him, the medicine is to eat this. Or he is about to die, and we know that someone who is in danger of life, he is allowed to eat non-kosher. So we say that he's doing a mitzvah by eating this.
Oh, so yeah, you have to say.
And therefore you have to make a bracha.
Well, I thought you never make a bracha on non-kosher food.
Yes, a sick person who is prescribed and now he has to eat non-kosher, he is not doing an avera, he's not doing a sin, he's doing a mitzvah. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing, and therefore he has to make bracha on this non-kosher food. Even if he's eating pig
We don't
or
make bracha
seafood, whatever it is.
act of eating the bracha.
I think it was a starving person,
No, we're
like
gonna
in
do
war
it.
somewhere,
And
not
we're
even,
gonna
whatever, but
This is
sick
my friend, she's
person,
like,
like
her oven
somebody's
just
sick,
broke.
being in the hospital.
She's here. It's the-
Practically speaking,
her kid
today
had a
we
concussion.
don't do that. We don't
You
have
know, somebody
medicine.
traveled and they got stranded
Oh, she
somewhere.
said she's to see her
and
kids.
Put it on the
stuff.
Believe it or not, there's certain
Perfect.
cancers.
I mean, not that her kid had a
Breast
concussion,
cancer,
yeah.
one of the
You know what I mean?
breast
She doesn't miss
cancer
class, but
they
she's
give
like, she has
you
to go to the
a,
doctor.
special extract from
So
a
me and her,
shark.
I'll just give you leftovers if you
Because
want.
it's,
How many kids does she have?
There's one
something
like
from a
very
shark.
so it's like,
And it
Do you
helps.
think
In
she
fact,
needs all
my
of them or
mother
no?
was taking it when she was about 45 and we cured her. She found this and she
You want to
took
go
it.
ask? I don't know. Just take it. She missing.
We're starting, yeah, we're starting being able to- yeah. She asked the shot, she asked the question, and,
it's a medicine, it's not like a food. It's like medicinal.
You can give her one of these.
Not like,
but it was,
but it's like a food, yeah, it's not.
it was more food than actual medicine.
Take my one. Here, and ketchup maybe? No. Kids like ketchup. I have my kids at work eating ketchup.
Your
with, like,
situation,
stuff.
Chasachayila,
Eat
that you are
ketchup.
sick,
Yeah, ketchup. Sweet.
now
Same thing.
allow,
I'm like,
mix
is that
this
just
food,
not just fries,
accept
the
it
no,
to you.
but then just
And
ketchup
it's
and this
in
would
a mitzvah
fries.
for you. And then we have to thank Hashem for the nutrition and blood that you derive. Of course, if we're eating non-kosher food, I should have put another question in there. What if we're not eating non-kosher food? Do we make a bracha? Well, I think it comes from this Allah that you don't make a bracha.
It's allowed.
If you're eating non-kosher food, you don't make a bracha.
A sick person. When you are sick, there are a lot of things that are allowed because you are sick. I mean, not just like you have a cold.
It's
Like you
untouched.
are sick.
I think
So
it's
think like chas v'shalom, any of the really horrible things. When you are sick, like you talk to your rabbi, but I used to like call the rabbi like, I don't know, every other day with things with my mom because she had chewing issues. But like when you're sick and there's no other option, you have to get nutrition because otherwise you lack nutrition. You cannot risk someone's life because food is not kosher. They gave this example at Rage. If you could sustain one person to live one more day, if the entire Jewish nation had to eat a cheeseburger for one person to live one day, we would all eat a cheeseburger.
That's an interesting concept.
To preserve a human life. A human life is there is no limit. You must do what you can.
Okay, number 13, let's go on to Elizabeth, right? Oh, no, we're in Estonia. 13.
If someone is being forced to eat, does one make a bracha?
Yes.
Okay, again, we have this difference of opinion.
I
What
make
is-
my children eat, they have to make a
They're
bracha. They have to eat both, they have to make a bracha.
Yes.
So we say no.
Oh, really?
Yes, if someone is forcing you to eat, you don't want to eat it, you don't make a bracha, because And it follows the concept. Pleasure.
Like a Russian mother saying, eat, eat, eat.
So
You're
you're
like,
trying to.
In that case, I think you still eat. Because Russian
You
people
better.
we still
I made
eat
them
and
say
make bracha, yes. But we're talking about someone who was really,
What if you're talking about in terms of like a diet, you're trying to go on a healthy diet, but you don't derive pleasure, like, I'm not a healthy eater, but I know in order to like lose weight or be healthy, I have to, I have no pleasure out of it, I'm eating it, because I know I'm supposed to make breakfast for that.
you still have pleasure, you still get pleasure.
No, I don't.
Pleasure afterwards, once it's digested, you get energy from the can.
Right.
I'll tell you.
Okay, what's the problem? Good, yes. Number 14, Julie again.
Which foods must we never make a bracha?
Are there foods that would never make a bracha? Isabella, you probably know this. Which food, number 14.
14, which foods we never make a bracha on?
Spoiled one.
Not butter.
So we don't make a bracha on vinegar, on pepper, on dried ginger, on olive oil. Why? Because this
Say that again.
vinegar,
Ginger,
pepper,
pepper,
olive oil, or dried ginger, or olive oil. Why?
why not?
What's the common denominator? This thing
It's only like a
could
snack.
hurt a person, could make them vomit, or they don't give a person pleasure. Pepper is too bitter. Ginger is also very bitter. We're not talking about those candied ginger that they make, or fresh ginger they put in the tea. Part of it is also probably grain that would on Pesach we make grain when it's fresh.
Right.
It's very caustic. It could make a
Some
person.
people love it.
But you can't eat it straight. You don't make a bracha on it. Unless, I don't know, in my family we didn't do it because Spartan used something else. But if it's possible to take a spoon and actually eat it and still survive, then you make a bracha.
To survive.
I don't know about grain. I heard that it's very, very
What
tough.
do you do in your family?
Spartan don't use the horseradish grain.
What do we use?
We use romaine lettuce. That's
Oh,
our
yeah,
motto.
yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to.
The Passover, yeah. Ashkenazim they always use they grind the horseradish, and everyone loves it because. But they eat it together with romaine. They eat it together with something else. That's doable. Even olive oil, we could dip bread into olive oil and eat.
Oh yeah, but you can't drink too much
But
olive oil.
if you can't,
Yeah,
it
it's
changes
really bad.
pH in your stomach, and it could be very dangerous.
Okay, okay.
Oh, that's what we did. Another bad. And we go on to number 15, Mrs. Mabush.
Sorry, can somebody else do it? Why don't we have to make brachot on foods if we wash for bread?
Okay, so that was the question was asked.
Doesn't it cover everything?
Yes, because we say that everything comes to serve the bread. Bread is the main, and therefore it covers everything else.
Everything is covered.
Oh, here comes your question, Sapir.
Everything is covered?
Get ready.
By bread, by hamotzi. Everything is covered by hamotzi.
Okay, I'll read 16 because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If we wash, do we have to say a bracha on dessert? Why?
Okay, so we just said that if we wash for bread, everything that's on the table is covered. But the dessert is also part of our meal. However, we say that we do have to make a bracha on dessert.
Separate? From
Separate
hamotzi?
bracha. Separate bracha.
From hamotzi?
No, not hamotzi. Hamotzi is bread. And we already made
From
it.
your pasha
We're talking about desserts. We're talking about
You want
desserts.
dessert?
And then you want dessert.
The answer is yes. We make brachot on desserts.
Unless you do hamotzi first.
We'll
that's
see
fine.
there's an exception to it.
You said-
Why do we have to make brachot on desserts? Let's give an example. Fruit,
Yeah.
let's say candies, let's say ice cream. All these things require the bracha. On the fruit, we're prayers. On candies and ice cream, shakol. On chocolate, shakol and chocolate also. Now comes the question about mezonu.
About which part?
And mezonu.
Wait, if you wash for bread, and you're done eating the bread, but you didn't bench yet, do you have to say new brachot?
You have to make brachot on dessert.
Even though you already yes.
Because dessert is not part of the main meal. Bread only covered
Okay.
things that are there to satiate you. Now, what is there to satiate you? The
This is
fish,
both
the
Ashkenazi and
entree.
Sephardi.
Same, all across the board.
All across the board.
Whether it's meat or chicken or side dishes, all those things are main part of the meal.
Unless
And bread,
because it's considered to be part of the meal.
It's all, excellent. You don't make a bracha on it.
Right, because they always
It's
serve it as
it's part of the meal.
But guess what?
I've never served
But you know what?
But I'm saying, usually the Ashkenaz people, they always serve it.
It's fine to say that it's dessert, but
But
it's
Ashkenaz
part of the
always
meal, and we eat it, and we don't make a bracha on it.
Like that, okay, cute.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yes.
Bracha achrona in the dessert thing. Like you do the dessert and that's your bracha.
Excellent question. Only bracha Rishon.
So you don't say the bracha achrona for grapes.
No.
Because that's part of
Birchat
it.
Hamazon that you're going to say covers dessert also. Why? Because Birchat Hamazon covers everything that satiated you, and this also satiated you. The bracha Rishon only covers the main meal.
Okay, but what about if you're eating and then you kind of move around the middle of your meal? Can you say your Birkat Hamazon like later? How much after the meal?
3
Can you
hours.
say your 3 hours?
Oh, no.
72 minutes.
2 minutes?
The basic order.
Oh, actually,
Like,
with Birchat Hamazon, as long as you're still full from that meal,
Oh.
you allow the best.
So if I'm already in bed and I cannot say Birkat Hamazon, but I'm still very
You're still
full,
full, you
I
can
can
still
still say
bench.
Is it
Birkat
2 hours? That's how long that's the maximum amount of time it takes for your stomach to empty.
So I'll wash in the morning.
Oh, that's for all other.
Just watch.
That's all for all other foods besides bread. Or meat. Birchat Hamazon is as long as you're still full. Yes.
But Rabbi,
And I'm gonna double check it for next time.
I heard that it was 2 hours after you start feeling hungry.
No. Once you're hungry,
That's it.
you can't make bracha on it. Let's finish off. Now, this is an important halacha about cakes. After, on certain types of cake, we make bracha, on certain we don't.
Now I have to go do my class. 15 minutes later. Thank you so much.
I also have to leave, unfortunately.
Now,
My husband's like, 9:17, where are you?
if I made a bracha with one food in no. Number 17. What types of cake do we make a bracha on if eaten for dessert after we wash?
Ceremony.
So
It
what?
has to be crispy.
So there's 3 criteria of what cake is. Some say that it's anything that's thin, like matzah, cracker. That's why on crackers or on matzah we make mizunot. Spartans they make mizunot. Some say that the actual dough has to be sweet, and if it's not sweet, it's not mizunot. And some say that it has to be filled, like something that, like hamantashen, or samsa, or pirashki has something inside it. Now, we say, since there's machloket, what it is, 3-way machloket, we say that if each one of them, because it may be bread, may not be bread, we don't make a bracha, maybe hamotzi covered this food. But if all 3 concepts come together in a certain one item, then we could for sure, without any doubt, say that this is non-bread, and we make mizunah. Now which item is it that where all 3 things, first of all crispy crust, second of all filled, and third of all sweet come together, and that is pie. If we're having a pie that has a crust, that's filled, and the actual dough is sweet, we make bracha on pie. Therefore the halacha is like this, that if for dessert you have a pie, you make mizunot. For all other things, let's say it's hamantashen, we don't make. Because it's filled and it's sweet, but it's not crusty. For example, for 7-layer cake, you don't make mizunot
Oh, you know?
during the meal. If it's marble cake, you don't make mizunot. If it's chocolate cake, you don't make mizunot. Because maybe it's bread. Only a pie requires mizunot during the meal after you washed, and you make mizunot. But all other cake products, besides the pie, do not get mizunot. So, as for general rule, desserts require bracha. Ha'etz, ha'adama, sha'akol. Pie requires mizunot, and all other cakes do not require mizunot.
Rabbi,
I hope
what
that this
about
was
Napoleon
clear.
cake?
Yeah.
That was one question. Napoleon cake.
So Napoleon is a little tricky because on the one hand it's
Yeah.
crispy, it has layers.
It
On
has
the
to
other
be.
hand,
It's
it's
not
filled.
filled. It has cream inside, but it's not filled like a pocket.
So I would say the following. It does not require mizunot. And that's because the layers, it's not, you can't view it anymore as a thin cracker. Because even though there are the crackers together, and because there is a layer in between, it basically combines them into more like a non-cracker type of thing.
So number 17.
And also because of what Mrs. Mamasha says, that it's not actually pocketed, it's just layer on top. So because of all these reasons, we don't make it on top. Here, see it. Say it again?
Number 17.
17. Pi.
Pie is
17 is pi, yes. Now, by the way, what if the bread was not baked? Let's say donuts, it's deep fried. Then it's also mizunot. Because since bread always has to be baked, it's never deep fried. Any item that's deep fried, by definition, could not be covered by hamotzi. It's not bread. It's for sure mizunot. And therefore it's pie, but it's not fully pie. It's also donuts. It's something which is bread.
That's why my mother-in-law makes, I don't know what
So
it's
do
called,
we
it's
say
like a
that?
Bukharian thing.
If it's fried, you say it.
She fries it, and they actually call the thing mezonot. They like, she says,
Yeah, it's
You
called
know what?
champak.
yes. But she said, she actually,
so
they call it, they don't
They
say
call it
chopar.
mezonot.
They say, here's mezonot. They actually
Yes,
call it,
yes,
okay.
It's called mezonot.
And it's very good also.
Oh, really? So chapati say mezonot?
Champak is not because it's fried, yes.
She also the
What did you say?
Rashidi.
Rashki is not.
But it's fried.
Depends how you do it.
Oh,
You
you're
fry it
right,
or
you're right.
you can fry it or bake.
So if they're fried, then it's mizunot, yes.
Even if you have like 5 of them, does she make it with that nasty sweet?
No, that's different halakha.
Right.
That's a different, we're not going into that.
Okay.
Let's finish up 19.
Make it with that nasty soup that you didn't eat when you feed it?
Now 18. If I made a bracha with one food in mind,
I think
Oh, good
then changed my mind, do I have to make a new bracha? In other words,
No.
let's say I have few fruits on the table. I have apples, pears, nuts. First, I want to eat an apple, and I made ha'etz on an apple. And then, as I was eating, I wanted to try the nuts we have over here. Let's say almonds, pistachios, cashews. Do I have to make another bracha right here, right now, on the nuts?
Yes. No, because it's on the table.
Yes.
So this is called change of the mind. Your bracha goes only on what you have in mind. By definition, in this case, it did not go on the nuts because you only wanted to eat the apple. So you have to make another bracha when you're eating nuts.
Wow.
We snack a lot. So let's say I'm like, I walk into my kitchen and like there's a snack on the table, so I take a big bracha and I eat it. My brother comes home from school and he's like, here, I just got this. I have to make another bracha on that. And then like 10 minutes later, I left my something in the living room and like I ate a lot. Okay, then you make another bracha on that.
Yes.
A million brachot.
Yeah, you have to make another bracha. That's called changing of the mind. New item.
Make a
Yes.
shift.
Even if it was on the table, so if it was on the table and I didn't want it, but then I decided a minute later I wanted it, that's another.
Yes.
Wait.
Let's go on the other.
You just fast it.
Quick question. So how are you not taking Hashem's name in vain?
You're not, you're making brachot.
The answer is, when you made the original bracha, you did not cover this item.
Because you didn't have it in mind.
Then you
Yes.
think
So
I'm
it's
just
not
gonna
sweet,
cover
you're
whatever
not
I eat for the whole day.
You're not risking taking his name in vain.
I'm gonna eat the whole day.
Okay.
So when you're going to like ladies do brachot parties, right? So when you do brachot parties and let's say there's different food items for each category. Let's say for ha'etz, there's the olives and the grapes and whatever. You say it once, like together, when you go around, you take whatever you want at that time, you know, for the initial whatever. But then you snack and everything else. Like you kind of, I'm kind of thinking like ha'etz is ha'etz, and I
Question
eat
19.
whatever I.
Oh, excellent question. Next question, 19. Yana, read it.
Oh.
That's something else.
Does the same apply if I am a guest at someone else's table?
Yep. No.
And the answer is no. Why?
You don't know what's being served.
You don't know, and your mind in general, I don't know what's being served. Maybe it's something else that I want. So therefore, when I make one bracha, it covers whatever they will bring me and serve me.
Okay.
Question?
One second, I want everyone to finish.
So it's very good to be guessed.
So you don't know.
We're gonna wait, and I'm not answering any questions.
Cool.
Okay, everyone wrote it. No, not everyone. Okay, now, go ahead. What's that?
You know how people drink from like really big bottles of water?
Yeah.
So if I have to make multiple, like at work, I have a big bottle of water that I drink throughout the day.
how often do I need to remake a bracha? Because like I drink it's a big cup.
Yeah.
So like I'll make a bracha in the morning, and then from the beginning of the day until the end of work, I'm drinking through this bottle.
Excellent.
But I'm also like I leave the glass room, I come back in.
So
I
generally,
go
in this
upstairs.
case, when you make a bracha, you have in mind that you're gonna drink it continuously. Even if you walk out, you move around. Unless you left your bottle and you left the premise, you walked out from that building.
Right.
And then came back to the bottle.
But if
Then you're gonna make a new bracha.
is there a certain period of time that once I've done this long, I have to make a new bracha? Like it's not a half hour.
Or she already ate her lunch, like she drinks in the morning, it's for the whole morning sit, and then she ate lunch and she whatever, later on is the water from, right? Is the water from earlier.
But now make it simpler. Let's say
I
you
drink
started
all
at
the
9 o'clock, you drank till 9:15, and then you started teaching and you taught for 45 minutes straight, for an hour straight. Do you have to make another bracha when it was always on the table, but you just didn't sit for an hour? And the answer is you don't, because you knew that you're gonna eventually.
If you have an intention like this is my bottle for the day.
Yeah. But if it's a situation where you fell asleep, like for example, you fell asleep, or we could make a case where you would not continue drinking, then you would have to make it. Yeah.
What if you're thirsty? Like, it's the same bottle, what if you emptied the bottle and refilled it multiple times?
I think it's only.
Then you don't make a bracha. It does make a difference. The water could be different water altogether. But as long as you have in mind on
But you're
all
gonna
the.
drink this all day?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Lena?
So for example, coffee. If I have a cup of coffee and then I refill it afterwards, I don't have to make a bracha with it?
No, most of the time, it depends on how you do things. Most of the time people don't refill. They drink one cup, then they decide, okay, we'll have another one. So therefore it requires a new bracha. But if you're the type of person that you're going to drink 2 cups, one and then refill and second cup, then you don't. Okay?
It's a separate thing.
Okay, let's finish up. Number 20. If I made a bracha at home, then I went outside for a minute, do I have to make a new bracha when I return?
Yes.
The answer is why. Thank you very much. There's a very short answer.
Once you leave,
Changing of the place, it's like you finished that food. Changing of the place is like you finished that food, and therefore when you come back, it requires a new bracha. Finish that food means finished eating that food, like done with that food. So change of the place is.
Even if you have a mind coming back,
Oh yes, you know that you're gonna come back because it's just a few minutes to greet somebody.
Oh, okay.
Still changing the place.
if you're in the middle of a meal, like a hamotzi meal,
Yeah,
and you
then
walk outside and then you come back in, what do you do?
then you don't.
You don't rewash?
You don't have to make any brachas because it's the middle of the meal. Then we're gonna talk about it next time.
Yeah, so when you leave.
Is anybody driving to wherever you ask are?
Yes.
keep saying bracha and then when you go.
Where's this?
Essen
Are you
bench.
driving down Ocean Avenue?
Good.
Like 28th or whatever, 28th.
Then what do you
Like down 20, I can walk from 28th and R.
Or anything
Drive
not-
toward R.
You need 28 and R?
I need Burnett Street and R, but it's like whatever, I can just get on Ocean and talk. Do you mind? Thank you so much.
Ready?
I have to call Havarim that I get my car.
Oh, you're taking your car out again. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Can you
Just raffle the table.
You guys have the line.
I already cleaned up everything else.
I need my car in the morning.
Covers everything.
It's not on there, right?
You could always text me. Yes, good.
Do you guys have the number for Havarim?
No, I don't. Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah. What happened to your car today?
I don't know the battery, I just got it.
Yes, I'll do that right now. Yes. They're very good at this. They're gonna come right away.
What's up, right? Sex WhatsApp?
What's happening?
This is mine, actually, thank you.
Yeah.
Someone was in Egypt. It's not here. It's not here. Like that's how they so much to learn. Like the most hyper person ever. Like,
It's okay, I'm gonna pull this down.
yeah.
That's it, no more garbage? You leave it here, what are you doing?
Rapper usually throws it out. Garbage goes? The garbage, where do we throw it out?
I'll take it.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Okay, have a good night, everyone. Have a great Shabbat. Thank
I gotta
you.
go.
Thank you, Sapir, for getting us such a great Sabbath.